So again, what I mentioned is this header tag that you see up here that now just has an H1 in it that says my first website. You're going to end up putting a lot more stuff in there as you go on. All right. And in the nav tag, that usually you only have one of those nav tags per page, and that's where you're going to put your menu. All right. It used to be not many years ago that when you saw menus, they'd be along the side. They would be vertically along the side. Now the trend is more horizontally on the top. All right. But again, if somebody's going to pay you to create a website, which is one of the things maybe that you're hoping to get out of this program, then they're in charge. I mean, I have created sites for people that I've tried to advise them against using certain colors, certain fonts, etc. But they're, no, I want to use that. Well, after a while, it got to be, I wasn't going to say anything because I thought, well, that's good, because eventually they're going to hate what they have, and they're going to call me back to fix it. So I'm going to get more work. All right, and, you know, so, but the point is, after a while, you'll know what works, you'll know what fonts look good, etc. So this is an unordered list. In an unordered list, if we wanted to make it ordered, we don't, but if we wanted to make it ordered, we change that U to an O. It'd be an OL tag. All right. These, whether you have an unordered list or if that'd be an ordered list, they're made up of what are called list items. Those are the LIs. So what this says is, okay, I want you to have a hyperlink that says home on it, and when I click it, I want you to go right to the file I'm at. That's called index.html. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, if you were to run this and you click the About tab or you click the Contact tab, you'd get an error message. Why? Because we don't have an About.html or a Contact.html page yet. Okay? Sometimes when you're starting to test this stuff, you know, you don't want there to be an error there. So what people will do is they'll put just right in here, they'll just put a pound sign, which basically means stay right where I am. You can do that if you want to also. All right? Just so you're aware of that. All right, this whole thing is inside of one of these div tags, and it's called wrapper. All right, and because it wraps the entire or just about the entire document, that's the reason for the name. Kind of a standard type of name that a lot of people use. Then down here we've got another div tag, and it says style equal clear both. Well, what the heck is that? When we start talking about CSS, what you can do is you can force things on one side of the web page or the other. All right, so you can do what's called have them float to the left or float to the right. But after you've floated something, by default, everything you add after that is going to try to float until you turn the floating off. That's what this does. So I'm showing you stuff that we're putting in here that we're not going to get to for a chapter or two yet. But I want to teach you the right way to do it from the get-go, and have you have an understanding of what this stuff means. All right? Now, the good news is, believe it or not, there's not very much more to add to this page. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you what I did. You may agree with it, you may not agree with it, you may care, you may not care, but I'm going to go out to a website, and don't worry about going out there right now, but you might want to. Okay? And I want to show you where that site is. It's a little bit to type in. So it's... Hope that's right. It is. No. Okay, so I gave you, I'm trying to read what I've typed in here and it doesn't show very well, so I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go to Google. All right, and I'm going to say different lorem ipsum. That's a lot easier way to do it because that's going to bring me to here. 56 unique lorem ipsum generators. Anybody know what lorem ipsum is? It's garbage text, literally. Sometimes you'll see that on a web page that people will put out, they're words that don't make sense. They're placeholders, okay? Well, I found this site, in fact, a student turned me on to it, this Mashable.com, because sometimes people don't like that. So what this site will do is it's got different types of lorem ipsum. For instance, if you wanted one that was made up of all different catchphrases from Samuel L. Jackson, you could use his lipsum stuff. What I did was there's one in here someplace. I started going through these. And there was one in here that was called like TV shows or something like that. But I'll just grab the first one. All right, just so you see it. So cupcake ipsum. So I click there, and it's showing me. It's like, what the heck is this? Well, what I want right now is I want 2 paragraphs. So I'm going to type in here, I want 2 long paragraphs, and say generate. See what it gave me? Now I can throw that right into my website without having to type in all sorts of stuff. Okay? So I'm going to grab both of these paragraphs that are right here. I grab them, highlight them, do a Control-C to copy them to the clipboard, or right mouse click and choose copy, whatever you're into, and go back into here, into my page, and I'm just going to add 2 paragraphs. So I'm going to throw them in here. You're like, oh my God, that's really ugly. Well, remember, I have to put them around P tags. So there's my first P tag, my beginning one. And I'm not going to worry. Right now, like I said, it looks really, really bad. But it'll look a little better in just a second. All right, then I'm going to add another P tag here. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I've just added in 2 paragraphs. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to do my live preview again. And there's the first page. All right? Now, this is what I'm going to ask of you right now. That between now and next, well, if possible tomorrow, but otherwise by Monday, okay? You have, if you say, you know what, I get all this stuff, I kind of get what you're doing, etc. Remember that to each one of you, I email to your Rankin account a folder, and that folder has got today's date on it. That folder says 8/25/16. It's zipped, so you'll have to extract it. All right? And what's in there, again, is those URLs that I showed you, the brackets cheat sheet, and this first website. What we're creating right now, all right, what we're creating, I'm gonna grab the line here that, because we're not doing the CSS yet. So I'm gonna just comment that line out. All right, but what we're creating, yours should look something when you get done. Don't worry about the picture, but it should look something like that. Isn't that pretty much what I just showed you? All right, so it's up to you. And I realize time is a precious commodity. But between the end of the period, by the end of the period today, I want you to have all 10 of those practice exercises in Chapter 2 done. If you already done them, if you got them done already, then grab that folder, right mouse click on it, zip it, and send it to me. Okay? And if you've done that already, I'd suggest that you try to create the About page and the Contact page. What you may want to do is open up those other ones. There's the About, and again, it's got CSS in it. That's why it looks a lot prettier. And there's the Contact page. This is the type of stuff we're going to be creating. And I think it's in your best interest. I mean, you've heard me talk enough already. I've lectured a lot in 2 days. So I think if you go back to the book and start looking at it. The other thing, just so you know, remember, what's the first thing you're going to be doing in here tomorrow? The test for Chapter 2. If you go over the exercises and you do all of them, and you send them in to me, and as long as you've given a good concerted effort, you get 10 points for doing that. All right? But it'll have to be in by the end of class. I don't want you to send it to me this afternoon. I want it in by the end of class. All right? And if you do those, and then you take your book home, or you look at the Word copy I gave you, and you quickly read through that tonight and just spend a half an hour or so on it, you should be in pretty good shape for that test tomorrow. The tests are closed book, closed notes, and I'm supposed to keep reminding you, closed neighbor. All right? That's the biggest problem because Charles has already said, well, with the seating in here, you could seat them at least 2 apart, and then I'm not going to accuse anybody in here of cheating. Have I had people cheat in classes of mine before? Yeah. All right. But usually it's a one and done type of thing. Because if you get caught, if you haven't heard the school's policy, if you didn't hear that yesterday, all right, I have to assume, if I see somebody looking at somebody else, I say, please look at your own screen type of an idea. But if I think that you've been cheating, I have to give you a 0 on that test. These tests are worth 100 points each. And they'll be, I don't know how many tests. There's 14 tests here, and we're going to take about 10 of them. And there's about 8 tests we'll take in Java. So do the math. That's somewhere around 1,000 points. And your homeworks will be somewhere around 300 points. But if you lose 100 points, that's 100 out of 1,300. I don't want that to happen to anybody. Do you understand what you're supposed to be doing for the rest of the period today? All right. If you've got those, if you print them out if you need them. But you're going to get a lot more than you think you are out of doing that. You're going to get comfortable with the editor. You're going to get used to tabbing. You're going to get used to a lot of stuff. So if you did do the Chapter 2 homework already, zip it, email it to me. Then start keying this in. Because what we're going to do is basically change that file right there once we get to Chapter 3. And we're going to change it where we'll add CSS, which again are cascading style sheets. And that page that you just saw that looked like this, once we do that, will now look like that. All right, and it's not really a lot of work in order to get that to happen. But that's Chapter 3, and that's a really, really big description. All right, now I'm going to ask you this. I don't normally like to do this, but I have no problem at all doing it. First of all, let me... Some of you look like when I've got the stuff up here that you're kind of... Can you read that okay? Can everybody read that okay? Yeah, like I said, I've got to ask him what the problem is with the resolution on this. But do you want me to leave that up there? That's fine. And so does everybody have like up to about here? In fact, I'll leave the whole thing up there just right here for now. And I'll leave it up there for about 10 minutes. So if you fell behind, hopefully you can key that in. Okay? I will tell you, and I'll leave you with this. When I was a senior in high school, it was the first time I graduated high school in 1974. I know it's before a lot of you were born. Probably all of you were born. But the point is, that was the first year in high school. Yeah, that's how behind we were. That you got to choose your own class. You had the whole schedule. Then you had one class you got to choose. So my mom said to me, Jeff, what class are you going to choose? And I said, I don't know. I said I was thinking of this, and this, and I gave her a few. She goes, what about? She said, I think you should take beginning typing. And I said, yeah, maybe. I said, no. She said, that's not a request. So I ended up taking beginning typing. I didn't like the teacher. I didn't like the class. But I can type fast now, and I can type when I need to very accurately. You have to be able to type to be able to do this stuff. And you have to be able to be accurate. Okay? So if you are a slow typist, that's why I'll leave that stuff up here. I would suggest if you're a slow typist or you don't know how to type whatsoever, if you're a hunt and peck type of person. I knew a guy literally hunt and peck 2 fingers. He could do 70 words a minute. He was that good with 2 fingers. And when people tell me they can't learn this stuff, I taught beginning keyboarding one summer. And I had a guy take it. He was right-handed. This is no joke. The day before class, he broke his right arm. He got up to 40 words a minute using his left hand only. So when people tell me they can't learn to type, I don't believe it. You can go online and there are free typing tutors that are out there. All right, so if you need to do that. All right, I'm going to leave this up here. And in about 10 minutes or so, I'll go down to this, so you're down to the bottom. Okay? You can put anything you want. You can put your own stuff in there if you want. You can type in hello world. You can type in hello and just keep, I don't care. You're not turning this in anyway. This is a learning exercise. That's all this is designed to be. And remember, if I go back and it doesn't like it from here. But if I bring this file up that we just saw, and I bring it up in Notepad, in fact, I don't even want to do it there, and well, let's just say I run it, okay? And I right mouse click on it, I can choose View Page Source, and that's everything I put in there. All right? So you'll start to see what happens when you put the magic. Is it easier to read that? Is that easier to read? Because I can put it up in Notepad++. It's got the ugly coloring, but if that's easier for you to read, then I'll leave it up in that. It's a little bit bigger font. That'll let me play with the font a little bit. I can even make it. Is that better? All right. I'll leave that up there. That's about the first 20 lines. In about 5 minutes, I'll move it down. Okay? Please, last time, email me chapter 2 by the end of class. Okay?
Say that chapter 2 had 2 websites or 10?
I think there's 10 practice problems. It's all the problems that are throughout the chapter. You know what I mean? The hands-on stuff, yeah. Pardon? Where do you go?
Yeah.
Well, I gave you that thing on the flash drive,
Oh,
and on there it should have all of them on there and everything that you're supposed to type in. So remember, if you have not done those exercises 2.1 to 2.10, it's probably more important that you do those and get those done by the end of the period than you do this. All right, you've already got a copy of this. And you're all big boys and girls, so if anybody has to get up to use the facilities, get a drink or whatever, you don't have to ask. All right, take it you're gonna come back, but. Sir,
The new computer doesn't have Office on it. I need Office in order to look up the chapter 2.
oh, you don't have Office on it, okay. You can use WordPad? Yeah, let me see, I wanna see how long that, I know that's like, it's, the document itself is very long. Where is it? Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can print them off, okay? I'm gonna have to cut that down though, because I don't wanna print off 10 copies of 40 pages. So, let's see. Right. Oh, that's because I don't know chapter 1, I want chapter 2.
When I put in my flash drive, nothing shows up
Nothing shows up where?
on my computer.
Right, I'll be right there. Again, you could have the same problem there too that Dominic had. Do you have Microsoft Office on your laptop? Because if you don't, you're not gonna be able to open it using Word. You're gonna have to use, like you said, WordPad or something else. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to go through and I'm gonna grab out just the exercise portions.
That's how I did. I showed you if it pulls up each chapter, you just right click on and open with more options, which you can pad. And that pulls up all the text and everything, and it's just the coding and all that, but you can't unlock it or go to the picture.
Well, and again, that's why it's gonna be important that people try to, get the textbook as soon as you can, so.
It's just like a simple solution for, that's all I'm thinking.
I have Microsoft Word, so that's not the problem.
Okay, well, like I said, I'll be there in just a minute, and
Okay.
let me grab all this stuff. I've got it almost done here. Where's, and let's see. Explorer. It's like you're trying to recognize me.
That's a lot. The words come yesterday.
I'm wondering if somehow maybe that you can't have the keys out there. There could be something that's working on magnetizing it. I don't know. I would try removing that. And like I said, I'm gonna see if I can, I'm trying to collapse this so I can print out a copy of this for everybody. I've knocked it down from 26 pages to 12 pages, but it's still way, way too big. Well, we have an interesting situation. We've got about 4 people who don't have computers yet, and virtually no one has the book yet. So, yeah. So I'm going through here, and I'm gleaning out the exercises they're supposed to be working on.
Okay.
And putting them on the screen isn't working very well. So I'm going to print out a copy of just the exercises for everybody. Do you know, is that, see how the resolution is? Yeah, and I don't know.
I know I fiddled with that thing one time.
Charles may know too, so.
Yeah. The, you know, you have to open that door on the side. I believe. You see how there's like a, kind of like where the vents are over there on this
Yeah.
side of it? You have to open that up there inside in order for you to get the focus and so forth. But the thing is it's blurry on the bottom.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I thought there's something. You
Because
can
I
do.
played with I can play somewhat with the resolution on here, so I can make it
Right.
bigger and smaller, but
But I think
there's no magic point where
Okay.
it's like, oh wow, now
Right.
everybody can read it.
you'll have to ask Charles. But I believe you can see there's something that slides over on this side of that projector. You'll have to go.
Do we do
maybe
that, or
grab a
do we,
ladder
or do we,
something. Well,
or do
you
we
can
ask
ask
AV or
You can
IT
ask-
rather? Or
You can ask Charles and see what he recommends because they kind of sometimes just.
see, I
take care
took
of
this
it
new
themselves.
employee class, and the lady who taught it, she told us that we really shouldn't be climbing up on chairs or anything like that and fixing things. And I listened. I
Exactly.
listened when she said
So
that.
we do have ladders.
Okay.
So I have grabbed the ladder myself sometimes to take care of it.
All right.
But you can ask them and see if they do it, or I think I ask typically we do it for a typical instructor, but sometimes we IT people will just take care of it.
Yeah, I don't mind
So-
doing it, but I
Right.
also don't want to do it
There
if
is
I'm
a
not
ladder,
supposed to
though,
be up there doing it.
downstairs.
Okay.
I know. So
Okay.
you can ask Charles.
All
if
right,
he
I'll
has
ask
something.
Charles and see what he says. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, the good news is I just printed those out. The bad news is I realized I sent them to the printer in the office. So I'm gonna go grab those, and everyone in just a couple minutes will have a copy of the exercises. All right, this printer is slow, so here's the first two, and I'll be back.
So page 65. I don't know. I just like the biggest thing because I feel like I was under the impression we're doing the hands-on exercises. Or we do the hands-on exercises for each individual,
Okay.
2 point,
What
blah, blah, blah.
That's what I've been doing, is the 2.1s, cause
What
that's
have
like,
you been doing?
cause that's each thing.
Is the
Here,
book down
I'll
the back
show
of it?
you this back. Let me show you what I'm talking
No,
about.
it's not.
So like, I've been doing each one of these, each one of these I've been doing is like the actual
Hands-on practice.
hands-on practices, like going down, because each one of them, like, you're going through what is actually,
So you're
What I'm trying to
copying
say.
that practice.
you're basically copying this. The only thing you're doing is every single time you go back to here, you're saving each one as something else. So like right now I have like 4 things open here. There's index, line break, block quote. Each one of those you're saving into a file. So it looks like this. I'll go to mine.
For each of the one we're gonna save under like.
I'm guessing this is what he wants, but. Alright, so it should look like that, because each one of them saved as a different thing. I don't know, I'm guessing that's what I'm supposed to do. I hope, because that's why he's talking about zipping the folder, because it's so many different documents in one folder. But I don't know if that's what he
So
wants.
he doesn't want
Yeah,
this.
it's like 16 different ones.
Yeah, and each one of them's like a different
Yeah.
deal. So, we're gonna make sure this is right. So, okay, I'm gonna make sure this is right. So each one of them is supposed to look like this on here. So like you're supposed to have each one of them on,
Yeah,
I
you
think
just
all
stick all of them in the
Yeah,
folder.
right.
Re- Just so you know, it's only gonna be about the first 2 chapters that you're gonna do this. You're not gonna be doing all these hands-on exercises for every chapter.
See, I was confused. I thought we were doing like the end of the chapter exercise and not the hands-on exercises.
Just for the first chapter, the chapters 2 and 3 will do the hands-on ones. Alright, later we'll do some of the ones that are at the end of the chapter, and I'll be passing on other exercises as well.
You need to- no, I don't need all of them, but that's just all the
Like all
exercises.
the hands-on exercises. So like, yeah, so we start here.
many people still need a copy of that handout? Okay, well, they're printing right now, so you still need one?
Yeah, sure.
Who else does not have a copy of that handout?
I don't have one, I don't need one.
You don't need one? All right, well, there's 3 more printing, and I'll just,
Would you just say it's like 2.2?
No, if you keep reading under the actual code that is there, it should have like save your file as blank, or whatever you're supposed to save as. It's basically like saving it as what you just did. So like, the first one you do is the index, which is like the one there referenced, it's the template file every time. Okay. I'm just trying to figure it out.
So I just got this very first that was just
Okay, so yeah, so you create a folder, create a folder, so that it's on, on that. Okay, okay. Save it.
I had like
Yeah, okay, here we go. So,
all right, since there was some confusion, and I'll take the blame for it, what I will do is, since there's 15 of these exercises, and some of you may be a little bit typing deficient, just for this first exercise, I will let you turn it in by tomorrow morning when class starts. But I want it then emailed to me by tomorrow morning when class starts. Does that make sense? All right. And so again, and that's the last thing I'm gonna say on this, make sure that you reread chapter 2, look at the exercises, because we'll take the test first thing tomorrow morning. So today, we're giving time to complete the labs. Don't worry about the path of light, we'll work on it, but we just won't do it right now. All right? And in fact, what does it say here? Complete all labs. It says the hands-ons, those were due at the beginning of the day today. The labs, that means that's what's at the end of the chapter. That's due on day 5, so that's not due until,
The lab exercise you can.
that's the end of the chapter exercises. That's due in 5 days from now, okay? So always have your syllabus out, and I'll try to do a better job to make sure you know what you do and you know what's due when. So tomorrow, day 3, you've got the written test at the beginning of class. All right, so we'll do that first. You'll have till a maximum of 9 o'clock. If everybody's done by 8:30, great. If people need till 9, it's fine too. Then we will go over chapter 3. I will lecture for approximately an hour to an hour and a half on that. Then again, you will do the hands-on, the 11 hands-on for that. And that will be due on Monday then. Class starts.
Did you put the syllabuses on the discs that you gave out?
Did I put the syllabus on the disc that I gave out? No, but I'll be more than happy to. If you go out to insiderankin.org,
Oh,
you
it's on
get,
there.
it's on there. If you want, I can email them to everybody, but you know, it's,
No, I
yeah.
didn't know if they were on.
Yeah,
the
it's
discs.
there, yeah.
Okay.